While we have been cooped up during the pandemic, there has been an uptick in domestic abuse. So we're showing you the number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And if you're hearing this as a podcast, that number is 800-799-SAFE. That's 800-799-7233. And we're going to keep that number on the screen for a while. And at the website, thehotline.org, there is confidential live chat. And when you visit thehotline.org, you can delete it from your browser history. When the bars are closed, there are fewer bar brawls and less drunk driving. When stores are closed, there's less shoplifting. And not surprisingly, the National Commission on COVID-19 and Criminal Justice finds that, as we're spending so much more time at home, burglary and property and drug crimes are down. Beginning in May, aggravated assaults went up, and homicide was a third higher during the pandemic and 42% higher during the summer compared to 2019. Joining us now is longtime D.C. Metropolitan Police officer, now a university lecturer on criminal justice, Ronald Hampton. Ronald, does any of this data surprise you?
Well, what I was amazed about was to the extent to which they talked about these crimes. Some of the crimes are crimes of opportunity. So people are going to participate in those crimes. If you can't go to the store, if you're not going out, if you are in the house for extended periods of time, then you're right. Some of those things we're going to see a decrease. But police have never, ever, in my opinion, been developed in a way that they could prevent homicide. Homicides are things that happen out of the view and out of the contact of police. So, but there are things that as a society we can do sometime to address some of the systemic issues around how homicides happen. But I wasn't surprised that homicides and to some degree some violent crimes like robbery and those things went up, because of the stress that exists in our society since this COVID thing has been in existence.
Yeah, that's a good point. Cause and effect with stress. And nobody's been hit harder by this virus than the big city police departments. Officers are overworked. Some are quarantined. Some have died. As ranks have been depleted, some departments have been de-emphasizing traffic violations and misdemeanors. Good idea, bad idea, and if arrests are down, does that make this data suspect?
Well, no, not necessarily make the data suspect, but I agree. Police departments have been sort of de-emphasizing certain things. Why ride around and conduct traffic stops, for example, that really doesn't do anything but sometimes aggravate certain communities and certain residents? And look, and you're using gas. Things are slow now, so I've noticed that in this city, in Washington, D.C., officers are sitting on the side more. They're paying more attention to certain things, and they're in the neighborhood sitting around residential stuff. I think that's wise, because why ride around and doing the kind of things that would that's not going to have an impact on crime? The whole idea of the police having the presence, cars are there, you see the cars, you see the police officers, some of them are getting out the car, walking in the neighborhoods and whatnot. I think that's a good idea. That sets up a presence. But just riding around, for example, conducting traffic stops isn't going to produce anything, and it's going to create more stress.
As various states and jurisdictions have decriminalized or legalized weed, the arrests thereof have been de-emphasized. And there in D.C. about a year ago, Mayor Bowser said she didn't want any more custodial possession arrests. Has that backfired in any way?
No, I don't think so. I know I was involved with an organization back here when the Decrim bill was passed. And there were good things in the Decrim bill, like the smell of marijuana couldn't be probable cause for arrest. We saw police officers abusing that process. So the elimination of that was something that has been positive. this whole idea of how much you have and whether or not you for having for personal use or distribution has always been a subject matter for police and the public. But the whole idea of decrim is now not only something that's happening here, it's happening across the country. So there's going to be less and less focus on the whole idea of marijuana and in the context of it being criminal to people just utilizing marijuana for recreation and for medical purposes. And I happen to agree with that. I mean, I don't use it myself, but I don't think we ought to be locking up people for having a marijuana stick or two marijuana sticks. That just doesn't make sense. And it's not a good use of police time or effort.
We are speaking with longtime D.C. Metropolitan Police officer, now a criminal justice lecturer, Ronald Hampton. Millions are unemployed now and financially desperate. And we're reading about stick-ups at bodegas and convenience stores and gas stations. Ronald, what is your advice for staying safe when we are out and about?
Well, when we're out and about, I think we need to pay attention to our surroundings. We need to be, as we are walking, doing what it is that we do, we need to be paying attention to where we are, what's going on, who's behind us, who's in front of us. We also need to be less of a target. If we go shopping, we need to take and put our shopping gifts in our trunk rather than put it in the car, because people are walking around, looking in cars, testing car doors, all those kind of things. We need to make sure that we aren't making ourselves even more of a target. And you're right, because of the times and things that are going on, the stress that individuals and families are feeling as a result of COVID, then we're going to see people who are victims or been victimized by the stress and other things that are happening. We're going to see certain things start to happen or are happening as a result of it. I know here in D.C. we've seen a rash of automobile thefts where people are pulling into a gas station to put gas in their car, and while they go inside, they leave their car running, and somebody jumps in their car and rides off. Well, you need to cut your car off. You need to take your keys with you, and you don't need to have your car on when you pump your gas in the first place. So just paying a little bit more attention to yourself, to your surroundings, and the kind of things that are going on can relieve us of some of those stressful issues that's going to happen if we don't pay attention to what's going on. But I think in some way, this COVID stuff has really created some problems for us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I cringe when I see somebody run into the post office and leave their car running outside. A lot of what you're saying is common sense. Watch your six. If you missed it earlier, we are showing you the number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's 800-799-SAFE. Ronald, I've been eager to talk to you about what's been called Program 1033. I've read up on this transfer of nearly $2 billion in military gear to local police departments from a report by the nonprofit, nonpartisan American Transparency, citing a U.S. government database of over 500,000 items transferred from the military. Even small-town police departments now possess mine-resistant vehicles, armored trucks, helicopters, M16s and M14s, infrared goggles, and grenade launchers. Ronald, painful episodes in 2020 have demonstrated the need for police to de-escalate. Does equipping municipal PDs with these kind of armaments help or hurt? I got a little over a minute.
I think it hurts. I really do. I think it hurts. It hurts not only the image of policing, but we can't use those type of we can't use that type of equipment in the communities that we serve, because policing is a civilian operation. It isn't a military operation. And so this new legislation that passed the House, the George Floyd legislation, goes to the extent of limiting local police departments' access to that equipment by the government. And it has been a practice ever since the Vietnam War to sort of give this equipment to local police departments. And I mean, I remember back when the LAPD had a Ram in a personnel carrier, and they was using it to bust into crack houses and all those kind of things. There may be
Oh, yeah.
a very limited use for that kind of equipment, but by and large, we don't need that kind of equipment in local policing. We really don't, and it sets up a bad standard.
Yeah, I think you've drawn an important line, civilian operation. Ronald Hampton, thank you very much again for your time, and Happy New Year. That Open the Books Oversight Report, Program 1033, includes a map which you can search by zip code to see what military gear went where, and you can download the whole report free at openthebooks.com.